Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out sessions presented by VERB. We are your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Poe. The lovely Jasmine Patterson couldn't be with us today, but she is with us in spirit. So if you've been catching our other videos, you know what we like to do is we like to pick a specific topic, particularly one that is controversial in the world today, and we like to discuss it. We come up with different talking points and different questions to ask throughout the discussion, but we also like to get you guys involved as well. So for those of you tuning in, please feel free to comment and ask questions as you're watching so that we can have some interaction with you guys as well, and for you guys to add to the conversation also, okay? Today is a part 4 of a series that we started about a month ago called What Do You Bring to the Table? We've already done 3 parts to this series, so if you haven't caught those other 3 videos, you can go to my YouTube page, just type in Aaron Tate. You should be able to see my face, click on it, and you'll have access to all 3 videos, or you can find it on Adrian's Facebook.
Yeah, I posted all 3 videos last week in order. Yeah. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3.
So if you haven't caught those other videos, please go back and watch those in addition to the one today. But yes, today is going to be the final part of this series, Part 4 of What Do You Bring to the Table? Are we ready to wrap it up?
I think we should start off by taking it all the way back to the top and just give them a rundown of the things that we've discussed so far.
All right, so if you haven't already figured out the things that we've discussed that we believe should take precedence over things such as cooking and cleaning, financial, having sex, things like that to bring to the table in terms of a committed relationship, in terms of a relationship that should be building and progressing towards a larger goal. We've come up with 17 17 things that we feel should be brought to the table before or primarily before those things that we discussed. So
now, before you get started, this list is only for those who are serious about building and pursuing in regards to being with somebody. A lot of times, especially here lately, a lot of the things that I've been posting, people are confusing the post with their own agenda, right? So before we continue, I want you to understand that if you're not the type of person that when you get in a relationship, you're actually trying to accomplish a productive growth or build something with that person, then this list has nothing to do with you. You can do whatever you want to do. You can keep doing exactly what you're doing. You don't have to change anything. If you feel like sex is good enough, do that. This list is only for those people who are honestly in a committed relationship or in a marriage or legitimately pursuing to be with someone for the sole purpose of bettering themselves. So if you're someone who's satisfied with the one night stand or the meet and greet and the hit it and quit it, that's fine. That's on you. Our goal here is to promote a more matured aspect according to our perspective of a productive relationship. So a lot of the combativeness that comes behind our videos is really null and void because we're really not talking to you. We're only talking to those people who we're talking to, and if we're not talking to you, then we're just not talking to you. All
right, so taking it all the way back to the top without going into specific detail about each one. Things that we feel should be brought to the table in a committed relationship, by both male and female.
Equally.
Number 1, effective communication. Number 2, emotional intelligence. Number 3, sympathy. Number 4, empathy. Number 5, management. And those were broken into subcategories or broken up into 4 parts, which would be management of time, management of energy, management of resources, and management of money.
Correct.
Number 6, planning. Number 7, vision. Number 8, patience. Number 9, mental stability. Number 10, cultivation. Number 11, teamwork. 12, understanding. 13, nurturing. 14, problem solving. And that's when we get into the next things that we're going to talk about. 15, 16, 17, and 18.
All right, we got a
long comment. All right, so Rob Vitrell Cooley said hello.
What's up?
Malam Salifu, please forgive me if I mispronounced it. She said, or he or she said, I am great spiritual man from North. Call me at, and I think he provided his number. What's happening? I'm not sure what he's saying. Life will change for you by the grace of God. Okay. All right, I think we're ready to begin. So the next thing on the list, next thing that we feel you should bring to the table before cooking, cleaning, sex.
Before we end this out, I want y'all to know where this stems from if you're not familiar with it. So we were doing a video on. This is where you tell me.
What's the toxic femininity?
Yes, we were doing a video on toxic femininity, and I had made a statement about cooking and cleaning being basic items that a lot of females offer when we're discussing what do you bring to the table. And I also made a statement that it's toxic to continue to perpetuate the idea that cooking and cleaning is something actually valuable to have on the table in regards to a relationship. So this series kind of spawned off out of that, where we decided to explore, well, if cooking and cleaning is going to be basic, give me some things that could actually be brought to the table that we need. And now, almost 20 items in, we have a whole list now that whenever you're discussing pursuing a relationship with someone or trying to honestly build with someone, these things are things that you can actually now talk about. And I think that if you watch part 1, part 2, and part 3, where we go into detail breaking down each one of them, it'll actually provide a lot of clarity. Even if you're already in a relationship, these things can always be developed and always be worked on. So we hope y'all really take something from this list.
So the next thing we feel you should bring to the table is self-discipline. Self-discipline. When you think of self-discipline, what do you think of?
Self-discipline for me, one of my role models said this, and it just stuck with me. He said, those people who have character or, self-discipline, we don't need the police. We police ourselves. You know how a lot of times when you're driving, you may be wide open, but you see a police on the road, you slow down because you understand that there's a certain law or a certain speed limit that has to be abided by in order to prevent certain actions. But those people who have self-discipline, they understand that I don't need to see a police up the road because I understand that if I don't discipline myself, I'm still going to break the law. It's like that internal thing that keeps us moving forward so that we can accomplish whatever goal we have set out. If you don't have self-discipline for me, then one or two things is going to happen. If you don't have self-discipline for one, you're going to be at the whim or at the will of other people. That means I only do something when someone else do something, which could definitely put a halt in your growth and development. Or two, I have a lot of things to do, but they will never get done. Either way, starting at either one of those positions is not productive at all without self-discipline. So that's how I view it.
Yeah, I view it similarly. The biggest thing for me is making sure once you've honed your self-discipline that doesn't get railroaded by your relationship with another person. I know I can just speak on personal experience with my current relationship. I used to be disciplined with going to the gym and making sure I'm eating right? But then once I got into a relationship with someone who accepted me whether I was skinny or fat, I got comfortable to the point where we started eating out a lot. And sadly, this came right around the time where gyms shut down when the pandemic first started. So it was like I'm constantly eating, but I'm not putting in the work to get it off. You know what I mean?
And now I'm sure don't justify because there's no gym.
Right. Instead of being able to say, okay, even though I'm not able to work it off, I can still discipline myself in my eating habits or my diet to where I don't get knocked off the course, my health path that I was on. So I think it's very important to make sure you hone that as an individual, but also important to keep it as strong as it is whenever you come together with someone else who may not be as strong by themselves. So
And that's crazy that you brought that up, because now it's kind of like self-discipline is exactly what it says, but you need it if you're in a relationship. Like that's a perfect example. Like you had that level of self-discipline, but because of the level of acceptance and love, it's kind of like, I can lax. It's kind of like, I can
let go.
I can let go. And I can see that in my own life with my own marriage. Like my wife constantly like brags about how smart I am, right? She, oh, you know all this or whatever. So I obtained that because at one point of time, I was disciplined to the point where like I was reading like 3 books a month. I'm talking like I would literally get up 2 hours before work to read a book. Mm-hmm. And once I got to the point where I feel like, I've learned so much information and I'm not really giving it out to that degree. And then she comes along, you're so smart, this and that. It's kind of like same thing. I got kind of lax, like, I'm already there.
Right.
And it kind of,
no one else is above me,
yeah.
So.
And it went back to, I gave that self-discipline to her, and instead of keeping it for myself. Mm-hmm. And initially, it's not productive for me as an individual or us as a whole, because there's still information and there's still books that I could read that would benefit us as a whole. And it also threw me off the path of my own individual growth. Mm-hmm. So yeah, self-discipline is definitely a must. Even with all the other things we've named, I definitely would still consider self-discipline a 10, because we can have all those things together, but there still has to be a certain level of foundation or individuality you have that would actually strengthen the togetherness. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like even taking it a step further, like when it comes to spending money. Like I said, whenever I got into my relationship, we were eating out constantly, but of course it costs money to buy food, right? Or it costs money to eat. So if we're constantly spending money, then that's more money that we're not saving.
And that's something you was not doing before.
Exactly.
Like you was not going beforehand.
And especially if there's a specific goal that we're trying to reach, such as saving to build a home, or saving to go on a trip, mm-hmm. or saving to buy gas, because gas is going crazy mm-hmm. Now. So it's like we have to at some point become disciplined to be able to tell ourselves no. Like, we're not doing that.
So even to the regard of like when we was talking about managing time, money, energy, and resources, like lacking self-discipline can definitely knock away that money, mm-hmm. right? So, and also time and energy and resources. Yeah. So yeah, it's a 10 for me.
Yeah, it's a 10 for me as well.
How important is self-discipline to you guys or girls when we're discussing what to bring to the table in regards of a healthy or productive relationship? On a scale of 1 to 10, what do y'all think self-discipline rates?
So, Latoya said, hey.
Hey, Latoya.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, did you know Latoya? Oh, I can't say her age on. Did you know she was?
Yes, I did.
I was like, what?
She don't look it at all.
Black don't crack and brown don't frown.
But yeah, I would say self-discipline is a tip for sure.
Definitely. I love how like all these things are like so intertwined. Like you can have one, but like you still gotta be working on that other one, because without that, that'll knock that down.
Yeah, and then even if you do get knocked off course, self-discipline can knock you back on
course.
Right. For sure. Having to build that up. It's kind of like patience. Like how in order to gain patience, you have to exercise, and when the opportunity arises to exercise patience.
I never thought about self-discipline like that. Like there's going to come a time in your self-discipline where you're going to be knocked out of that discipline realm, and you got to get yourself back in there using that thing again. That's crazy. I never saw that like that.
Let's see. Latoya said, I tell myself no too much. Monique says self-discipline breaks the scale for me, 15. Ravis Ruffin said 10.
Okay. Mo and Ray?
Latoya said 10 as well. Latoya also said you can. What did I
do? Just swipe it down.
All right. And then Latoya also said, I'm proud of my age. You better be, girl.
Right.
You better be.
I said, look, she was like, this guy told me he was, I told this guy was 30. And she said, you what? I said, I don't have to repeat it to people younger than me. Right. She said, well, I'm 37. I said, what? But yeah, to be honest with you, until this conversation, I never really consider how important. I mean, I knew it was important, but wrapping it up in all of the other traits is like, dang. I can now look back on my own development and see where I'm lacking, and now need to pick up that discipline within myself. And it's like, I never considered that as a, when somebody asks you, well, what do you bring to the table, or what do you offer in your marriage, or what traits do you have? I never considered self-discipline to be something to say, but because it doesn't sound like I'm answering the question for a marriage. Like when someone asks you, what do you bring in a partnership? The term starting out self-discipline, it's like, I'm not asking you about yourself. Yeah. But like, we both need that.
Right.
Like, we need that.
That's going to be the difference between me spending all the money at the mall versus
for
putting it in the bank once we get paid.
For real.
All right, looks like most people gave it a 10. All right, so let's move on to the next thing then. We skipped over problem solving. Next thing on the list is problem solving. That is.
How important do you think it is to bring the ability to problem solve in a relationship?
I'm gonna break the scale and say 15. So here's the thing. When it comes to problem solving, let's just agree that problems are inevitable, right?
They are definitely, they're going to happen. Jay-Z, Beyonce, it's happening. I don't know who you are.
Problems are gonna occur on a daily basis, or at least on a regular basis, if not daily. We have to be able to solve a problem without depending on someone to figure it out for ourselves. I believe that is because once that person is gone, then what are you going to do if you don't already have the skill or the talent to be able to effectively analyze a situation and come up with a plan of attack to solve the problem that's in front of you. So for me, it is a 15. Now I do recognize that it may come easier to some than most, or it may be harder for some than most, but
it's not impossible.
It's not impossible
to figure out.
It's not impossible to be able to, like I said, analyze a situation, and figure out a plan of attack, or figure out the best option for solving the problem. I think one of the things you can do is come up with multiple options. You know what I mean? Once you analyze the situation, what are some options for this problem to be solved? I got A, I got B, and I got C. Okay, so A might not work because of this, and that. C doesn't work because of this. B doesn't work because of this, but it's better than C and A. So let's go with B.
And that what you're doing is, by definition, the blueprint of problem solving. But remember though, we're dealing with two different people, right? So when you offer A, and this is one of those things where this is something that has to be discussed with your partner, right? So if I say, as bring it to the table, I bring the ability to problem solve. Because a lot of times, I know even with my experience with my wife, when something first happened, I'll throw something out, right? And before I get a chance to, that's A, you know what I'm saying? But I already got B and C. Before I get a chance, we're now arguing because of A. And I'm like, hold on, settle. That's only A. Yeah. I have B, C, D, E, and to Z, really. Right. And now we can start with the numbers as well, but we'll just, but that comes with effective communication, and if I only told you I'm bringing good penis to the table, when I'm now using my problem solving skills, it comes off as an attack. Because you don't know that I bought this, I got this. I bought it in here when we came here. But the only thing you thought, he can cook, he can clean, he got a good job. But like, I got the ability to problem solve. So now when I approach you, you don't see me, why would you say that? It's already, but now you see he's a problem solver. How do he solve those problems? So that if something was to happen to him, I know that same blueprint you just laid. But because we don't have these conversations, people don't consider these things as being vital to a relationship, problem solving can literally come off as an attack. That's wild to me, bro. Yeah. That's wild.
And I think a lot of people's problem is they don't think that they have multiple options. They just come up with A and think A is the only thing.
And it just don't work. Just scream. just scream till somebody come. Like I run through some, and then now out of all these skills, the one that I can legit say that I like will brag on is problem solving. Cause like I will run through 1,000 simulations in my head, and like I will give you every last one of them. Like that's why I be on this whole like I knew that or I figured that because like I'm talking I go all the way to the extreme. Like I take any situation and I will paint it all the way out to death. So like if that happens, like that was Z, but hey, we made it there.
And I think having the ability to problem solve can also help you to be able to control your emotions in a given dire situation.
Say that again.
Problem solving can help help you be able to stay calm in a what would be considered a frantic situation.
Because you've already saw that played out like that.
Right. So yeah, for me, problem solving, I give it a 15.
Yeah, definitely a 15. Because that's tied into so many things because this is a daily issue. Like you can literally have something come up every single day. And if you have patience, you're basically just gonna, if you have patience without problem solving, you're basically living through hell every day, right? So you have an overwhelming amount of patience because you brought it to the table and I brought it to the table. But we're just patiently going through hell. Like who wants to patiently get beat up every day?
And if you have problem solving without patience, what are we doing?
What we like, it's intertwined. It's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. Yeah, I agree. Problem solving is definitely a 15. Like that's what creates for me, in my opinion, that's what creates most divorce or most breakups. Because something comes up, right? You can't avoid it. Mm-hmm. But then neither one of us have problem solving. We got money. We just had good sex. Got a good meal. But we can't solve problems.
Mm-mm. So what do you guys rate problem solving? What do you think problem solving would be for you guys? We both gave it a 15.
Definitely. This list is so refreshing. Like I never really sat down and like thought about these things. And it's kind of rewarding for me because I mean I can see myself, even if just a smidge in all of these. Not saying I just mastered all of them, but like I got a little piece of light in all of those things. I mean, they're all, we can all work on them, but it's kind of like I'm really proud that if me and my wife was to have a conversation or, I could legit go through and be like, hey, I didn't realize all that I brought, because the world kind of gives us the idea, as long as you got a job, you've arrived as a man. But it's like, what about these though?
Yeah. And then I was talking to Selena last night when we went out to eat, and we was talking about all the things that you bring to the table. And I had mentioned or made the comment that once you know that you have these things that you can bring, you are now elevated in your level of status in terms of the standard that you hold yourself to. Once you hold yourself to a higher standard, you can now request that.
Boom! Yes. So you're not gonna just walk up, I work in the oil field. Okay, do you have this? Money can't buy this.
Right. Sorry. You just gonna waste my time?
I can't. I can't.
So, yeah.
We don't have any answers for the problem solver.
We can move on to the next one. So the next one is comprehensive skills. Comprehensive skills. Why do you laugh at comprehensive skills?
Woo! So, by comprehension skills, I interpret that to mean one's ability to comprehend, to assess, to understand, to grasp, to cope with, to deal with, right? For me, comprehension skills and effective communication has to go hand in hand, because I can be effectively communicating, but the individual that I'm communicating with can't comprehend what I'm saying. And now I have to activate my patience, my self-discipline from punching you in the face. I gotta pull other skills out because you don't have this one right here, right? And the same for me. Someone can easily say something and I not comprehend. I'm not oblivious, or I'm not impervious to lacking comprehension. So I believe that comprehension, once again, is I'll give it a 13, because that'll unravel all the other things, or it'll put too much strain on another area, right?
So give me an example.
Okay, so say we were in a situation where our lights are going to get cut off, and I need something a little bit more deadlier. I need something a little deadly. I'll do lights getting cut off. So we get a call, hey, I'm going to cut your lights off. Whatever, right? Say my wife comes panicking, and in her emotional distress, I'm effectively communicating how it's going to be okay. The lights are not going to get cut off because of this, right? Effective communication, patience, problem solving. I just activated all three of those, right? Mm-hmm. Because she's in that emotional state, she's not comprehending what I'm saying. She's still panicking, which is creating a space for me to be thrown off as well. So now we're at odds because I'm trying to effectively let you know that it's going to be okay, and you're constantly telling me that it's not. It is. It's not. It is. It's not. And that just creates. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to create a whole thing, right? And then the time period for me to activate my plan may now have passed, which then puts us in a place to where this plan is no longer going to work because it's after business hours, and now this is called an overdraft. Therefore, we don't have enough money to pay the light bill even Monday when they open up. So we can't pay it Monday when they open up. That means we can't pay it Tuesday because we didn't have the money. So much just unraveled because you didn't calm down to comprehend what I said, and now all of us is in the dark.
So do you think it's people's lack of comprehension has more to do with their emotions, or more to do with their aptitude?
Both. I think both are factors. To be honest, for the most part, I feel like if people were more emotional intelligent, their comprehension would rise. So, because a lot of times the reason people can't comprehend is logic. I ain't talking about E equals MC squared. I'm talking logic, right? Mm-hmm. Slow down. I have $500 at home, but I need to go get the card. I need to unlock it. But if I don't unlock it before 5 o'clock, we're going to call the overdraft. I only have $500. There's a $100 fee for the overdraft, which makes it $600. Which means we have to pay $600 to get the lights cut on. But we sitting there arguing for 30 minutes, and now the 5 o'clock passed, so now we need $600 instead of 5, right? Mm-hmm. But because you're so emotionally attached to that situation, we're burning energy right here when we need to be going ahead and get it done. And that, I feel like a lot of time that's where the lack of comprehension comes from, because people are emotionally attached to what's going on. And that's fine. It's fine to be emotionally attached, but at least let's do what needs to be done, and then you got the rest of your life to live out those emotions, right? So comprehension also, like you said, deals with aptitude. Like your ability to comprehend comes from, reading, or, information you learned at school, or picking up on information in the world, or from your parents. So if you didn't do that, you're going to also have a hard time comprehending. So both of those play a major role in it for me.
Gotcha.
And for you?
It plays a major role. Especially like you said, if I'm trying to explain something, but you're just not.
You just not.
You're not, yo. Or I'm trying to recall a situation.
I was like, can you think of a time where you knew that if you had, not you or whoever you were talking to, if they had the ability to simply just comprehend, the situation would not have been as worse as it may turned out? Or can you see how the lack thereof makes it a lot bigger than it really was supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I just can't. I can't think of one. I'm pretty sure I have, but I just can't think of one. But yeah, it's. I'm not ready.
Can we dance around it?
Trying to see. I'm sorry. I'm just trying. It's so many situations, but I can't choose which one.
Like with this, like I can literally see all the times that I was standing there viewing the person I was talking to and thinking in my mind, like, if you was only listening to what I'm saying, this would not be as bad. And it's like, so I get that, like, it's like I literally see me in all those situations, like, just, if you hear me, like, get out of your feelings right now and just hear what I'm saying, and we can resolve this. But because you're so emotionally attached, you just really not trying to comprehend what I'm saying. So yeah. I get it. It's a lot of that.
I can say that having comprehension has helped me be able to understand someone who isn't able to say what they're trying to say. Like they dance around it, or or they say something completely out of the ballpark of what they were actually trying to say. So having comprehensive skills has helped me be able to keep a situation or a conversation from becoming an argument.
Bruh.
And being able to say, okay, what you're trying to say is this.
Listen.
But say that.
I remember
and don't waste time saying
me and Swanee fell out because Swanee said something to me and I was livid, right? Mm-hmm. And she came back and explained to me how she arrived at what she said, and I was like, I'm like, why you didn't say that though? And I had to use comprehension because she still didn't say what I interpreted. But when I interpreted it back to her, she was like, well, that's what I said. No. No, that is not what you said. I can now comprehend what you were trying to say, but that's nowhere near what you said. And that was a very, very, very heated argument. Mm-hmm. So yeah, comprehension is some glue to a lot of situations.
For sure. So yeah, I'll give it I give it an 11.
Yeah. Yeah. Comprehension is definitely a lot of glue to some stuff.
And then you added one more thing.
Drive.
Let's talk about drive.
So for me, I would actually hinge most of those things on the list on drive, because we can have those things, right? So I can have a vision, but I mean that's me sitting on the couch, envisioning where I want to be, right? I can have a goal. That's simply me writing down how to get to that vision. So I got the goal written out. I have the picture of how it's going to look when I get there, but drive allows me to grab that and go. Without that drive, I simply have. I don't arrive, but I just got it, right? And that's the same for, patience. I can have patience, but if I don't have the drive to continue to develop that patience, I'm going to get to a level of patience where my patience has ran thin, right? Because I don't have the drive to continue to work that out. Equivalent to working out in the gym. Like, you can have a certain level of want, but like, you got to have a drive to keep these things going. Because nothing on that list has an expiration date. And drive is that thing that acknowledges the non-expiration date of that entire list. Mm-hmm. If you don't have drive to incorporate into that list, then everything on there has an expiration date. So I can either say, well, yeah, I had patience, and then the next week you be like, what happened? Or I gave up. But what about the patience? I did. I used it last week. Or any of those things on the list, and I'm literally just now coming to the realization as I'm talking, drive is like the batteries behind all of that stuff. If without drive, everything on that list has an end date. And if those things on that list has an end date, then you're only going to get so far with them.
What do you think contributes to someone like maybe losing that drive halfway into the race or halfway down the path that they were trying to go, or for the goal that they're trying to reach?
There's a lot of circumstances that could play in that. One could be them lacking in another one of the vital areas, such as a goal, right? So you have drive incorporated into your vision. So you're always viewing and telling people, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. It's going to look like this, I'm going to do that. But your drive is now depleted or lesser because you didn't have a goal, right? Because I need the goal to get to the vision. So one thing that I feel as though contributes is lacking or being immature in another one of those areas will actually cause your drive to be slower. So you gotta balance, how it's going, because you can have drive, but then if you don't have these other things, then you only drive so far.
Yeah, for me, speaking on personal experience, if it wasn't, whenever I came up with VERB, or came up with the idea for VERB, if it had not been for that drive to see it flourish, and to see my vision come true, we wouldn't be doing these Talk It Out sessions today, or I wouldn't have done all the things that I did back in high school whenever I started VERB. Now, there was a point where I had lost that drive because I wasn't doing anything there were years that went by where I didn't do anything with VERB.
Because your resources had depleted, your patience had went thin, so your self-discipline, so I'm saying, all of those things coming out, you still have the drive, clearly, because we're here, but those things being pulled out, it's like...
And then I found myself waiting, just kind of waiting around for something to kind of just fall at my lap or show up on my doorstep. And until something did, that drive still wasn't there to be found. Instead of me deciding to take matters into my own hand and figure it out for myself. So yeah, that drive for sure. I would rank that about a 12. Yeah,
and you know what I really love, and I'm telling you, I'm just now coming to the realization, drive literally puts. Without drive, it puts an expiration date on all these other things. Like you just said, the goal of VERB expired because the lack of drive. The vision, you still had drive for the vision, but since the goal, which was the initial plan, the people, the resources, all that diminished, because you still had the drive for that vision, we're here now. Lack of drive literally puts an expiration date on everything else on that list. Yeah. That's wild, son. And it goes for marriage. Like anything, for your marriage, for your job, you have to have a certain level of drive or it all will just expire. It's good, for the moment, but without that drive, it's just gone.
Yeah. But after discussing all of these things, there's 17 things on the paper.
And there was 3 or 4 that you added. 23, yeah.
Stuff. Would you say it seems like it's a lot of work trying to make sure you can maintain all of these things that you're bringing versus the common things? Yo.
So, now listen. By no means am I condoning what I am about to say, because I don't hold the belief of what I'm about to say. I fully believe that if a man and a woman is together, they should be pursuing a productive, dominant, building empire of a relationship. However, after this discussion, seeing all 23 to 25, we'll sum it up to 25, all 25 traits that doesn't expire, that you have to constantly work on to be productive, I understand why people are more satisfied, happy, and comfortable with either being single are just having these one night stand flings. Because with those, it doesn't bring about a level of responsibility and accountability to figure all of that out.
Yeah.
And those people are simply satisfied with being on the basic level.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's you, that's fine. But I understand now. Not I agree, not I promote, but based on all the things that come along with having a actual productive relationship, to have to be 24/7 conscious and subconscious of all 25 traits on any given day, at any given time, under any given circumstances, under any situation, it's a lot. It is. It's a whole lot. And now this is just talking about man and woman. This ain't including children into it.
Right.
It's a whole other ballgame, right? So I understand why the world has picked those three and defined a relationship with those three.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he got a job, girl, as long as he got good penis, and as long as he little.
Cook.
As long as he can cook. As long as she
Clean,
got good vagina, and
oh no, well for the man it was job, penis, and loyalty, and for the woman it's cooking, cleaning, loyalty, and vagina.
right. So as long as we got those four, we can kind of push the other ones on the rug.
Yeah.
But if you push all 25 of those under this rug, you wouldn't be able to be in this house.
But at the same time, it's like, so yes, this seems like a lot to have to, like you said, stay conscious of, or to have to continuously work at in order to make sure your relationship is productive. However, keeping just the basic things, how has that turned out for the world? You know what I mean?
So, ask that question again.
So even though all of the 25 traits that we've discussed seems like a lot in order to build a productive relationship, just keeping with the few common things that we've come up with, such as cooking, cleaning, sex, job, loyalty, how has that worked out for the world as a whole? How many relationships do you see crumbling because they don't have these 25 traits? How many marriages do you see ending in divorce or domestic abuse, whatever the case is, because we don't have the 25 things that we've discussed. So it's either you be willing to do the work for these 25 things, or you just accept the fact
and get the results that those have already been produced.
Right.
That's
Tracy Blount. Good afternoon, group family. Hey. Monique said, could someone be really great in one trait and naturally the rest will follow?
Oh, good question.
And then LaTracy also said, at some time you have to grow up and find your self-esteem and be about life and know your worth as a man/woman. Yes.
Agreed.
So
I like Monique's question. She said, can someone be naturally great in one and...
No, can someone be great in one trait and then naturally the rest will follow?
So, to be honest, that's a good question, Monique. However, those things that we just named, that's homework. Like, that's not like, the teacher is doing it and you just copying her. Like, all of those things are things that you have to first acknowledge and then second, activate and work in. Like, patience can only be... exemplified by being under struggle, right? Self-discipline can only be exemplified by the action that you take. Like, all of those things, it's not a natural phenomenon. It's something that you actually have to flex, right? Like it doesn't it's like putting weight on your chest, expecting it to lift itself up. Like, them things on that list, you got to see them coming, because if not, that's what creates arguments, divorce, domestic violence, because of the lack of flexing those muscles, right? So all of those things they're intangible.
Intangible.
They're intangibles, meaning they're not physical items that you can grab or blow up or water. You have to actually acknowledge and apply them. So it isn't anything that can happen naturally. So no, you can't. You can be great in one of those areas, but you can best believe the area that you're great in, that area has been tried multiple times, and you're constantly passing that test. It ain't like you woke up and was like, oh, I got patience or I got self-discipline. Like that area has been flexed a lot in order for you to be great in it.
I think her question came from the fact that every time we discuss a specific trait, we notice how it also ties into the other traits that we've discussed. But I don't think that needs to be confused for not needing to work on those other traits.
Oh,
as well.
no.
So,
good question though.
Yeah.
Good question. But no, you ain't finna wake up like that though. You're not finna wake up both sides. No.
It ain't did now.
I ain't did no push up. No. Okay. You cannot get a six pack without crunching, bro. You got to get some in, bro.
That's a great analogy. So just because you work on your chest doesn't mean your abs gonna come.
No.
Just because you work on your legs
doesn't mean your shoulders gonna get bumped.
No.
No.
You gotta work.
You work on legs, you get strong legs. You work on arms, you get strong arms.
Now, when you're playing a sport, having worked on every area of your body enhances the overall performance in that particular sport. However,
and the sport is a relationship.
The sport is
a relationship, but you have to go to.
But you have to make sure you work in every area of your body, yo.
Like them people who and Monique, I'm glad you said that. The perfect example of the whole can you be great in one area and then the other one naturally follow? The answer is no, because it's like those people who go to the gym and only work from waist up, so they look like baseball bats. They be like really buff, but like when you get down to the legs, like what is the chicken legs? What in the chicken strip is this? So no, that'll make you really unbalanced if you only focus on mastering the area that you're uncomfortable with, and you will end up looking like those bodybuilders that don't do leg day.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely off balance. Definitely off balance. It's a great question.
It is.
Where did you rate drive? Did you rate?
15. Definitely 15. So, it has to be tied into everything else.
So what do you guys rate drive? Having drive in a relationship, where do you guys rate that?
I think somebody love.
No, this is something coming. Man, bro, this is a lot though.
It is. And then it's kind of like, until you talk it out, you really don't know you're responsible, right? So like, now that I see this in its totality, it's like, when something happens, like I gotta be like, I gotta use that. Like, I don't really want to, but now I know, so I got to.
Yeah. How do I forget?
How do
I forget? Okay. Lavonia's on.
Swan John.
Latracy said LOL. Monique rates it a 12. Swanee rates it a 10.
That's a lot.
It is.
I don't want it.
Why?
Just say no.
Why are we in a relationship?
Why do we decide to be together? I'm not responsible for all that by myself, yo. And you know what? This is really making a lot of stuff that people say make sense. And I don't think people know why they say it. They just know they say it.
Latracy rates it an 8. Latracy, can you tell me why you rated it an 8? What do we got to do to get the other two?
People be like, I'm happy by myself. I get it. Because, like, individuality, it doesn't hold as much weight as partnering up with someone. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to be a team player if I'm by myself, right? Like, I don't have to have sympathy or empathy to that degree if I'm by myself. Like, it's so much stuff on that list that I could literally wake up and never use, but all that stuff on that list, it comes up every single day in a relationship. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like living with a constant embodiment of a test, like an ACT. And every day, those are your choices. And if you don't put the right one in the right box, you're going to fail. And you're failing, and you're failing. And this is a everyday, like, you can literally fail all 25 of those in like an hour. Like in one conversation, you can fail all of those. And then now when you wake up the next day, you're expected to now pass this test that you just bombed yesterday. Yeah. And it creates a cycle of like failure, passing. And it's a lot to deal with. It's definitely, I think I want a divorce. I'm playing. We shouldn't have ended the series. I don't want to do this.
I don't want it, yo.
Why ain't nobody talking out before I said I do?
Look, when we started this, all of this sounded good.
It did, but
further down we got on the list is like, I'm sweating, yo. Like, I am sweating. Son.
It's so heavy. And like I see why guys, like I see why we.
LaVanya, you put up.
I love you, baby. Listen, it's not you. I'm telling you, it's not you. Like none of those things on that list can I avoid in any circumstance with anybody. Like that has to be done when I decide to get with somebody. So it's not you. It's just the concept overall is so heavy.
It is. But I think it's important for people to know that they have the option to be alone and that be okay. I think the world does this thing where they promote the idea of being with someone almost as if it's mandatory, like finding someone to spend your life
like they do kids. It's
right.
not mandatory.
But it's like it's okay to not be with someone,
and they need to know. They need to know their options. Like you need to know that okay, you don't have to do these things now, but like once you get with somebody. Unless you want to be toxic the entire time, you have to work on 25 things every day. You have 25 things to work on every day. Yeah. She coming in back.
LaTracy said, it's not that I'm happy by myself. I just know my worth today is too much games now, but everyone does get a chance.
What was the... she rated Drive?
Yeah, she rated Drive as an 8.
Yeah.
No.
If you by yourself, baby, listen. After this list, if you decide to be by yourself, I want you to know that it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and the thing she said about knowing her worth, so that goes back to what I said earlier, is knowing that you have all these things that you bring to the table, you're not going to accept anything less from someone else, or you're not going to ask someone to waste your time.
Now, if you, and now, we are the world, right? I'm gonna boldly speak for the world, because I've never heard anybody discuss this, right? So the world walks into relationships not knowing that these things are applicable. Mm-hmm. If you already know this, or prior to watching this video, you're discovering, okay, there was 25 things that I need to be scouting for when I'm dating, right? If someone walks to your table and they have that list as well, I would recommend pursuing the relationship. Not just marry them right off, but like, you both have full knowledge of all the requirements. You both can identify that, you know, I got these and you got these. So, like, as long as we both have this list, I would recommend partnering up because that's how you get power couples, right? Power couples are no different, or they're no different than any other couples. Those couples simply have this list. Mm-hmm. And they understand on a daily basis we are both responsible for when situations come up, applying these 25 things. That's all a power couple is. Yeah. Like Beyonce and Jay-Z, whatever power couple you consider a power couple, the only difference between you and them is they understand that those 25 items are just as valid and valuable in this relationship as the air that they breathe. And whenever a situation comes up, they know how to assess the list, find which one of these we need, and apply it. That is all. That is the only difference.
Well said, sir.
It's a lot. But so like with me, what I do to help me lighten the load, I look at it as like an achievement unlock. Because if I look at it as a burden, it'll only burden me down. Mm-hmm. But I look at it like a level up, which it is. It takes a lot to activate any of that with someone else. Like it's a lot to do that. But once you do, there is a sense of accomplishment. No matter how stressful, no matter how strenuous, no matter how hard it was, when you're able to walk away from the situation knowing that I just pulled 5 items out my bag, son, in one conversation. Like that to me be like, that what keeps me out of jail. Like, that what keeps me out of jail. So when I walk off and be quiet, I'm not mad. I'm just congratulating myself.
Yeah. It's like looking at a mountain in front of you and like, dang, that's a large mountain, son.
And then when you get up
y'all
there,
sure
like,
y'all want to climb Everest today? Or, like,
then you get to the top, you're like, peons.
Right.
Peons. Y'all want to come up?
You're right. Like, what y'all waiting on? What y'all waiting on?
I almost died, you know. Look, you know, that's why people be mad. That's why people be mad. I had posted a video, and a lot of the concept that I was promoting or a concept that I had to go through myself, right? And I would try to let people know, like, I'm not talking from a place of just talking. Like, I've been here. Mm-hmm. There is light on the other side. But a lot of times when we're promoting things like this, all of these things are things that a lot of older guys, they don't want to talk about because they don't want to be responsible. But when people like us come and be like, hey, you know, don't do that, whatever. Oh, you act like you ain't never. Like, they try to hide behind the version where they didn't know and belittle the version that is applicable or available. And it's like, I see now why people be mad, because bringing these things to light, like you said, it raises the bar in the dating scene, right? So the next date, the females go on or the males go on. Whenever they go on that date, they now have 25 items to bring up and be like, you know, well, let's talk about where this is going. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the female or the male start naming stuff and like, ain't none of that stuff on this list. And knowing that this list is needed, like, you're not the one. Yeah. What do you mean? You don't have any of the items, you know? So
they see it as it's worsening their chances of finding someone.
And now we're the problem. So you have to silence us, right? Because we're
you don't want to be responsible for raising your own bar.
Yeah, I get it.
LaTracy said, remember group family? I told y'all I was with my husband for 27 years until he passed. So for me, knowing what the world is like today, and I'm also in healing mood for now. Absolutely.
I get it.
Look,
listen.
Ain't nobody telling you to be with nobody if you don't want to.
Do it. I told my wife, I said, baby, listen, if something happened to you, you ain't never got to worry about me giving this to nobody else, baby. It's over with. You laugh when I'm sticking it in.
She said, my family keeps me busy today. For sure.
Keep it. Keep doing that. You ain't got to worry about the other stuff out here, because there's some stuff out here.
Right. Like we said, it's just as okay to decide to be alone as it is okay to decide to share your life with someone. So, you know, and for anybody to look down on anyone for deciding to be alone or to try and push someone to be in a relationship.
They have no understanding.
They have no understanding. Then you're more than likely pushing someone to
get that. Yeah.
The common
You're
stuff.
not pushing them into the
25 things. You're pushing them into the
3 or 4.
Right. No. So
go get it. It'll be good. What? No.
Right. So yeah, we feel you, LaTracy.
Yeah.
She also said, I wanted to tell you guys I really love these group conversations. It really means a lot. You never know what someone is going through, and to have a voice is very important today. Most people are lost, for sure.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. She also said, with my 9 kids, I'm never alone.
You are never alone.
Like, yeah, you don't need nobody.
Don't worry about it. You good. I got plenty of people around you. Don't worry about it. What? Go ahead.
You have a football team,
man.
You
good, baby. No.
Forget it.
You good, baby.
Forget it, bro. So I know we talked about this earlier. So you're knowing what you know now in terms of...
I would not. You could have never thought. No. The answer is no. You want to what?
Son.
You want a date? Oh, it's March the 20th. That's the only date you get. You want a date? You want to go to the vegetable store? Because you could have never thought.
You never let me finish the question?
No. Got dog it? No. Wow, good food. No.
Nobody said I love it. Man.
And this the thing. I expect my wife to feel the same way. Like, all that stuff on that list, I completely understand that I am very well capable of lacking. Mm-hmm. And she is very well capable of acknowledging my lack and being fed up. So, like, if I die, baby, you ain't got to do it. Don't feel like you got to relive my honor or, like, feel some type of void. Baby, enjoy not being responsible for those 25 items. Because it's a lot. Like, it's a lot.
I can even speak to like my mother. Whenever my pops died when I was 16, you know, a couple years later, people used to ask me like, you know, does your mom date or is she whoop de whoop? And I'm like, nah, she's not concerned with that. I think for the first time in the 20 plus odd years that they were married, she's had the chance to really enjoy being alone, not being responsible for her husband and children. Because by that time, I was pretty much grown and out of the house, and my siblings were too.
So why would I do this again?
Yeah. So
like,
why would I put myself in a situation that takes away my freedom? You know what I mean? Like that takes away the joy of being able to come home and not have to cook a meal, being able to come home and not worrying about cleaning up the house, being able to come home and put on my favorite show without someone bothering me.
People take for granted these things.
Like,
they take
bro,
for granted.
right?
Knowing what you know now.
No. Oh. Ed and Monique, I love you to death.
I love my wife. Like, I will bang for you, boo. But if something was to happen or a circumstance was to be different, baby, I will be the most single of the single.
Like, prior to me and Monique, like, when I tell you that was some of the best times of my life as far as the freedom that I had to come and go as I pleased, to not answer to anybody per se, or always let someone know what I'm doing, to be able to come home and put on my favorite show, keep my feet up and not doing like that, having and be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not feeling like I needed to call somebody to come over just to cuddle with me or whatever the case is. Like that, and that's not to say some of the times I've had with Monique hadn't been the best of my life as well.
Yes.
But I also can recognize it and acknowledge how the level of happiness that I achieved with being alone as well prior to my life now.
You know what I call that?
What?
And I know to y'all it seems like,
oh, we don't want our
but that's balance. Mm-hmm. Like being able to understand, because same thing you said, I have had I had all of the times that I've had that were magically good came in my marriage. Mm-hmm. Like I've reached mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial levels that I would have never reached individually.
Same.
So I completely line up my love with my marriage, with my understanding of I would be single. Like they're the same to me. Mm-hmm. And for me, people like us who understand, like we don't try to, like let's be real, right? Let's admit to what we need to admit to and acknowledge the things that we need to acknowledge. Marriage and partnering up with someone in life is just as beautiful and equally as ugly. It is. Let's just be honest about it. Mm-hmm. It is as beautiful as it is ugly. You will never see a more beautiful painted picture, nor will you ever see a more disgusting painted picture. Mm-hmm. They are on the same level. And people like us who understand that, you now have the wisdom to operate in either or in any capacity. Those of you who think that it's only one-sided, don't do it. Those of you who think that it's only on this end, don't do it. Until you understand that you're equally getting the most beautiful thing and the ugliest thing, then you can do it.
But Tracy said laughter is good for the soul, just what we needed for today, for sure. She also said, amen, that's how I feel. I think she might have been talking about when I was talking about my mom. And then, even though my husband was my best friend, I'm living life to the fullest now.
Say that!
Even
say that! See, folks don't want to say that!
Yes, bro.
Say that!
Say it, bro.
Man.
Just say it. Yo, say it. Even though my husband was my best friend, I'm living life
my life, yo. And I would want the same for my wife. Because I know I can be a lot to deal with. So once you get done crying and get over me, enjoy not having that nagging side of me. Yes, enjoy not having the aggressive side of me. Enjoy not having that you getting on my nerves side of me. Enjoy not having that controlling side of me. Calm down. You seem like you're getting a little excited. Calm down, bitch. Yeah. Calm down. Like, enjoy that because it's beautiful and ugly.
Yeah.
in the same frame. I love it and hate it. Love it and hate it.
Well, this has been an interesting conversation.
Definitely has been an interesting series. Y'all have any questions for us about any of the items that you now have to understand what to expect or what to talk about in regards of what do you bring to the table? Any questions, concerns, comments, emotional outbursts? This has definitely been a good ride.
It has. Part 4.
It's crazy, like, it wasn't until we got to the end that I felt the weight hit my shoulder. Like, it was all fun and cute at the top. It was like, wait a minute, I'm doing this? Yeah. I need a spotter. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Why we put ourselves
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
Nobody made a list for us. They just be living.
Hopefully we set up the next generation.
Yeah, I always say, like, when I tell you, Noah is gonna have the utmost understanding. Mm-hmm. So like when he do it, if you do it, you know what you get into.
You know.
I don't want to hear nothing because I told you.
Tracy had a question. She said, in the next group, can y'all talk about kids? Can we?
Baby!
You got it. Coming right up.
Baby.
Coming.
I didn't press like Little Caesar.
Coming right up.
Let's give them some preludes.
Okay.
Number one, I hate how children are promoted as if they are a necessity.
Absolutely.
Number two, I hate how children are given such high regard over other human beings.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Number
for sure.
Three,
yes.
I hate how children are given a certain level of expectations by adults to have an adult concept, but as kids. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so, we're gonna have to list it out. It's so much.
It's gonna be another 25.
Yes,
it's gonna
so
be another
much
25. Yeah.
that deal with kids, man.
Yes,
we'll definitely do one about children.
For sure. Any other topics you guys would like us to discuss?
Yeah, any other topics y'all would like us to discuss? We got a whole list from here to next year, but we'll definitely pencil them in.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the next series is toxic parenting. We could probably cover the kids in the toxic.
It was a, what did you bring up the other day? Oh, no. What we gonna do next? The next topic is he who finds a wife.
Oh.
We got to get that. We got to get that, son.
What was the other one we told you about? Me and Jazz told you about.
Johnny texted me the other day. How about it? It's in my phone. But no, next Saturday is he who finds a wife. Mm-hmm. Got to get that.
LaTracy said, I hope y'all are ready for the ride because that conversation is very serious and deep.
Yeah.
Oh, we hit.
Oh.
we want all the smoke.
Because they ain't doing it but giving us more topics to talk about. I want all the smoke, baby.
Smoke, yo.
Burn the whole house down, be standing out like this. Well, that's interesting. Baby. But yeah, next Saturday we're going to deal with the statement, he who finds a wife. We have to tackle that.
All right, but we can draw this to a conclusion. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to LaTracy, Monique, Swanee for tuning in.
Okay, baby Swan.
And everybody else who commented and gave their opinion and their rates on things. This concludes our series. What do you bring to the table? So again, if this is your first time tuning in, or if you haven't caught the other 3 videos that we've done on this series, you can go to my YouTube page. Just type in Aaron Tate. You should see my face, click on it, and you'll have access to all the videos and other videos that we've discussed on different topics as well. Adrian usually reposts the videos on his page as well. So please go back and watch those other videos if you have not yet done so. Anything you would like to?
Yeah, this information is not only for people who are pursuing a relationship. This information is also vital for those of you who are already in a relationship. There's no timestamp on these things. So even if you've been married 15, 20 years, you need to revisit that table because you'll be surprised what these things will bring or the lucrativeness it'll bring to your current relationship or marriage. So I know we laugh when we play, but don't take them lightly. Definitely focus in on them. You know, have a discussion about them. And I assure you that these things will change your life, because the 3 or 4 that we had, cooking, cleaning, and sex, it isn't working for the world. If it was, the world would be in a much better place mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and emotionally. And we're not. And the reason that we're not is because we only have those 3, thinking that those 3 is going to intertwine and make some type of beautiful relationship. And it doesn't. So definitely go back and watch part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4, where we have all-inclusive about 25 items that you now can have in your subconscious, to where when you're dating or you're married or in a relationship, you can actually start to assess the situation properly rather than looking for cooking, cleaning, and sex. So that, I hope, explains why I made the statement that walking to a table to pursue a productive relationship, saying I can cook, I can clean, I have a job, that's toxic, because you're setting yourself up for failure, which is what we see on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I think Tracy said, let's open a business for group therapy. For sure, we can definitely do that. All right, but that'll be the end of today's video. Please catch us next time. I know past couple weekends we've missed, but we try to do these every weekend. So catch us next week, same time, same place, around 5 o'clock on Adrian's Facebook. But right now we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye to our futures. We didn't say hello to our futures.
We did not.
So hi and bye to our futures. One day we'll look back on this and wonder why we were like this in the first place. And we'll holler at y'all.
I wish somebody would like this before we was like this, so we would be like this.
That's us. That's us. That's us for the next generation.
Yeah.